the culture of football. Do you know what I mean? It's
I get what you're saying.
It's what it is.
it is what it is. Like, you're gonna get it. Why? So, like, they came out with the whole players should walk off the pitch, and they were like, and everybody kind of consciously agreed. But if it happened, it was like, oh, why are they doing that? How dare that player stop the game? And it's kind of like,
I think that comes from somebody who hasn't experienced consistent racism.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they said, like, I'm glad the England players stayed on the pitch. Otherwise, and he used the phrase "letting the racists win," which I can't stand that phrase. But his view was that if England would have walked off the pitch, then that's the racists. They've gone there, they had an intention, and they've achieved it. But I'm thinking about letting the racists win. I mean, like, how many times did John Barnes play through racism and actually finish the game and had to keep his head up in all of that time? And if that is defeating the racists, then there wouldn't be any racism, right?
No, exactly.
But John Barnes thing.
Oh no!
You made some comments as well.
Yeah, it's a bit touchy, that one. I see your angle.
No, but I mean, like, he was one of the first black players in England to actually be smashing it and to be successful. Yeah. And if we take away the recent comments he's made, there's no doubting what he went through as a player.
No, of course, yeah.
And like, what we're still saying today is that no one should have to go through that.
At least now, in 2019, seriously, it's shocking that it's still so prevalent in the sport, because, like, you've traveled. Most people have traveled. They've gone to games. Like, but you're still getting it, and it's almost the one that I actually find really, really quite peculiar is Lazio. Lazio are known for their what they call it, ultras. Yeah. Okay. And have you ever? Okay. No. Lazio are known for their ultras. This has been going on since like the 80s. Yeah. And I can't remember. I think there was a game probably about a year ago where they had to play it. Their fans were banned from it, so it was played behind closed doors because it got so bad. Like, but you're thinking this is 2018. Like they haven't cut this yet. I mean, this is the capital of Italy. Lazio is in Rome. Like, how is this happening? It's like, I wouldn't expect to see it in central London. That's a different concept. But you wouldn't see that. I don't think you'd see that level of racism at a Chelsea game or a Tottenham game, because it's just, it's an urban environment. Rome is an urban environment. Like, they have tourists. They have a significant black population in the capital of the country. So how is it that it's so bad in a football stadium that they have to ban fans from? Do you understand? Like, how have we not progressed?
But I mean, that's just disgusting, and it's even worse when you think about the situation that Moise Kean went through when he was at Juventus.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. And so, he was being racially abused by the fans, and he scored to shut them up, and he was seen to have been goading them by celebrating like that. And then he gets blamed by his captain.
Yeah, Bonucci.
Bonucci. For mutual 50-50 or something.
Yeah. Like, such a wild statement. I just
wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
And its attitudes.
Point of order.
Yes.
Isn't that the same as saying, well, I'm going to stay in the pitch to defy him and show, to put it to the racists how good I am, so I'm staying on the pitch?
It is.
You're staying on the pitch and you scored your goal.
But remember, he was there on his own. And when your own captain is telling you that you are to blame for this, what chance have you got of walking off the pitch? Exactly. You would not get out of that stadium alive. So even the fact that this whole UEFA 3-step protocol has been in place for 10 years, I didn't know that.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
10 years.
You have been able to walk off the pitch due to racism for the last 10 years. And I had no idea.
No, that must have been in the small print.
Exactly.
I think that goes to the point about data, and these things are predictable. And if you want to do something about it, it can be done.
Exactly.
But the choice is not to do it.
100%, or not to do it, and not to really enforce it, not to really like highlight it, market it. It's like having a rule. If you have like a law, and it isn't enforced, and it isn't sort of like, if you don't know your rights, and something happens, you're not going to do it because you just don't know about it. I think a lot of that sort of like stands, and And my heart bleeds for those players because, like, especially when you're playing in those those arenas, it's a very it's a tough place. Like, to play football in front of like thousands and thousands of people is hard enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Let alone a lot of them just gunning for the color of your skin. And moist skin is a perfect example. In Italy, it's just so
it's
much.
Rife.
Like,
it's
rife in the city, especially like within, like with the Lazio example, which maybe is not like in the town, or it might be.
Yeah. No, they play their game at the Stadio Olimpico. It's in the center of the city.
That information is predictable.
Yeah,
you could predict from the city, socio-economic, socio-economic factors, what media they're consuming, what are the influences politically. But it's predictable.
Yeah, but then it goes. I think what I mentioned on the phone goes to like GDPR, which is like a European initiative whereby how personal do you get? You know, do we track like pictures of people? Because GDPR basically mentions that
it's just the data protection thing.
Yeah. So I thought I was gonna remember the name of the individual letters for it, but I never gonna embarrass myself. But basically, the personal information shouldn't be able to identify a particular individual because that's sensitive information. You know, it's personal information. Why it should be anonymized, which kind of makes it a lot more difficult because if we could track everyone in this room, their face, and what you're saying and some of the influences that you're having, which I'm sure the Secret Services probably do,
of course,
being honest.
They're listening to us right now.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
hey guys,
turn off your phone. They're ready to shut us down.
Turn off your phone.
This guy's making a good point. You know, it becomes unlawful to do the things that you're mentioning. So although there's so much value, they kind of found a way like, we can't actually do that. So we're going to now do the 10-step protocol instead, which, what value does that really have realistically, right? It's just so, like, peak of the iceberg sort of thing. It's not really, doesn't solve the problem whatsoever.
So we could be, in 20 years' time, sat down, this table, having the same discussion.
Depends where you are, I think.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing that worries me.
Probably.
That's the thing that worries me really, because what if there's going to be progress, and considering we haven't seen enough progress since John Barnes' era to now, when Tyrone Mings is getting it. Like, where are we going to be in 20, 30 years now? Is it actually going to be up? Is there actually going to be any progress? Or are we still fighting a losing battle where it's not really gonna?
Well, it's because society doesn't want to deal with the issue.
But this is what I was saying.
It's part of the culture.
Is there even a point in trying to address it in football if we're not addressing it in society? Because
100%.
you're just pushing it outside the turnstiles and letting them go on and do what they want. As long as it's not in football, it's safe. That's our sacred ground.
I think football's so public that it's we can't be shown to be doing that because it's so public. And there's a lot of money awash in football.
Yeah.
So we can't be shown to be fighting racism.
No, that's not the point I was making.
Racism,
really, what are we saying here?
Racism can't be seen to exist in the football context.
But it is. I mean, we Annie was here last time. She even made it quite clear in terms of what she's been through. We know this is happening. So, is there actually ever going to become a point where, like, Stamp It Out really needs to stamp it out, Kick It Out really needs to kick it out, where we actually start doing something that you can say?
All I ever see Kick It Out doing is tweeting how bad the racism is. I've never actually seen them do anything.
Yeah, because they don't have much power. Like, what power? What can you expect them to do? You know, I think with any problem, I think you made a great point in that sports is just another segment of society, right? Whilst it's the actual country. It's the actual history that has painted this. I think you sort of like hit on the nail on the head. Because of the past, and because maybe there's not enough black people there, they don't see enough black people there. So how can they change their perception? Especially if, you know, their fathers and parents have told them things. And it's really a tough thing. I think maybe social media might help, because it's sort of like allowing people to see, like Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, you're seeing other countries. Imagine, like, for example, the Santorini, Greece. How many black people went to Santorini before the Instagram time where you're snapping the white,
the white,
white background and the white and blue background.
Yeah, and what's it called, the cliffs and the coloured houses. Like
that's
none. Like
zero
from right? Yeah.
But now everyone's flying out on vacations with your missus or your wife to be, and you're taking photos, which means people in that area, they'll be like, oh, there is more black people in this world. I thought it was just us.
Yeah.
That's one guy. Mad, right?
Exactly. One guy, and I was like, working in a hotel, like, oh, this what happened? Okay. Yeah, I hear with that. But yeah, maybe then there should be some kind of implemented social media campaign. I want to say campaign, but like it doesn't really work. Influencers, like a proper influencer, like where they come out and they say, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna actively do this every month or every week, or this is, and then there's a hashtag or whatever it is, a campaign, a sponsored way of kicking racism out of football, because it kind of has to be now. I would love for someone like Cristiano Ronaldo to do something major on his
campaign,
on a campaign where because he's a Portuguese player. 50-60% of the Portuguese national team are black. Shouldn't he be doing something about kicking racism?
But then maybe as well, remember how many followers Real Madrid lost to when he signed for Juventus, and Juventus just went up by. So I don't want to like tarnish everyone with the same brush, but there could be a lot of his followers who support Juventus now who are not keen on this anti-racism push. So like, where do we stand at? Because remember, his bottom line, or the bottom line of his people, would be the money.
Yeah.
So would it be worth, this might be a question for you, Rodney, like would it be worth putting out a post like that in terms of the potential losses?
Would there be losses?
I'm not too sure. Wait, so what's the questions?
So let's say someone who had a big influencer put out a post for anti-racism, and obviously the more people they've got following them, the more chances there are of having people with differing views.
Yeah.
Would it be a financial risk to have that person post what could be perceived as a divisive message?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Because social media, you can react positively or negatively to things, and Ronaldo might be bound by contract to a lot of different things, and whether he has that ability to do so. You know, I think a lot of these people want to just play it safe. They're like, you know what, I don't need to. Like, it's not affecting me personally, which is mad. But
yeah, I'm thinking that's kind of really.
But it's truthful.
Point of order. Does anyone remember when English football had this reputation of being hooligans, and they were banned from European sport?
Yes.
Yeah. That England supporters weren't allowed to go to games. And they were out of European competition. They weren't allowed to compete. So something was done and they had lots of intelligence. The police, etc., had lots of intelligence of how this manifests itself.
It's true.
And at some point, it stopped.
It's true. That's a very good point.
It stopped.
Yeah.
And that would have been using intelligence, not as advanced as perhaps AI, but maybe a form of using, that economic model.
Yeah.
So it stopped. Now, was it stopped because it hurt the commercial interest of football clubs or the FA, etc.? But at some point it stopped, and you perhaps don't hear much about English hooligans as much. If you look on any percentage scale, it's less. You're more likely to hear about other supporters maybe copying that form of behaviour. But at some point, somebody decided this is stopping.
Okay.
That's very true.
Sure.
That's a really good point. I don't think I can add much to that. To be fair, I think
this is the Beats and Balls Show.
So yeah, Rodney, who is the most influential UK-based footballer?
Ooh, UK-based footballer. I think we might have touched on him a little bit. So I'll obviously have to go and check data and whatnot.
Yeah.
But from my own sort of like understanding and my own personal opinion, I think Sterling up there in terms of influence.
Okay.
So he has a global platform, obviously being at Man City.
Okay.
Yeah, so taking it back, I think just being on the stage, both with like Champions League,
Yeah.
obviously Man City versus Liverpool, they're both at the top.
Right.